Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of Star Wars Destiny of the Force. I'm Matt, also known as Galvanitro, the GM of this game, and here with the awesome players Gareth, Jessica, Jonathan, Matthew, Preston, and Valerie. Where we last left off on our adventures following the next generation of Jedi Knights and their friends, we are on the world of Takodana, out on the very edge of the mid-rim, heading into the outer rim, as they are spending some time here, gathering information, meeting new allies, and about to set off on new adventures. But first, we follow Soul Skywalker and Grumblock as they head down below into the lower levels of the main castle in Takodana's port city in search of the Vault Keepers who live in the catacombs below. Soul, as you and Grumblock descend down the steps, Grumblock's weight causing small little pebbles to shift and the rocks to creak with every step. You can see, kind of heading out into the halls of the vault, it's mostly stone and rock, blasted or carved out over time, with etchings made, and you occasionally see those flags hung that are from outside, denoting, oh, well, this vault clearly belongs to this group or to another. Most seem to be locked with doors, electronic locks, it seems. But a few here and there are open, and if you lean in to look, appear mostly vacant or entirely vacant, usually just some containers, nothing much in any of them, if the door is open. You imagine these are probably empty vaults, just that can be acquired. You're not quite sure how. You haven't asked anyone or gotten any information to that end. So far as you're walking about, however, it just seems to be the two of you. Quiet steps of Soul and the much louder ones of Grimlock.
This building is poorly maintained.
I think it's pretty impressive with what all's above.
Look how it creaks when I step. I have known stronger buildings in my time.
Fair enough. Did the information on these vault keepers, their reception desk that they told you about?
I believe the knowledge we seek is further in. Grumlock's just gonna bellow down the halls. And he will shout, "Vault Keepers! Reveal your location!"
Silence is all you hear for a moment, and then a slight returning echo. Not very understandable, but clearly just Grumblock's words coming back, distorted and dampened. Soul, you, and Grumblock as well, though to a lesser extent, you feel kind of almost a gust of air move through the underground, as if there's a wind or some kind of current running through.
Yeah, Soul try to follow that then in case there's another entrance that the Vault Keepers use, or some door to the outside that they may use.
And what's Grumblock doing?
Grumblock's going to ask Sol what he knows of the world of Jakku.
I know there was a battle there, a huge one at some point, same as most people, but debris and junk everywhere. That's about it.
Let me try and recall if I have encountered this world on my travels. And I'll make a outrage.
Okay. Outer rim check, 3 difficulty, 2 setback.
Don't have any of these. Shit. No, because I changed my character around. Okay, that's fine.
So you're able to confirm what Soul knows, but the details, even to yourself, are pretty sketchy. You can't really recall when or what the battle was that took place there, how important or not, how much it left behind. Otherwise, from what you've heard from Darren and Vitania, seems to track with what you can recall as well, that it's a junk world, and the climate is mostly sands, though there are some kind of rivers here and there. It operates between extremities of temperature, between intense heat and intense cold, so the river alternates between being a flowing one and a frozen one. Or the rivers, I should say.
I do not recall many details, but the world seems to be unimportant, save for that one battle that happened sometime and someplace.
Well, there's enough scavengers there. There's got to be rumors and stories of places people disappear from or don't go.
Perhaps when we return to the tavern above, we can speak to these scavengers and see if any of them have explored the world.
Sounds good.
Lead on, Skywalker.
Soul nod and just sort of follow where he can feel any type of breezes coming through. See if he can figure out where the air is coming from.
Yeah, there have been a couple branching paths so far, but nothing that seems too noteworthy. It seems the area is lit mostly by the electronic locks on the vaults and the occasional, like, soft lantern light that's been placed into the wall at some point. Eventually, Grumblock, do you ever look down any of these halls or into these rooms?
Yes, I will.
Okay.
Any of them that are open, I'll just take a little peek, you know.
Yeah. Well, as you're peeking in and Soul's following the wind, you peek in and see what looks to be a more furnished one than most of the open vaults you've seen so far. And you see what looks to be a lot of disturbed dust and materials, as if it was just walked through, if it was just been in. And you see what looks to be one container that's definitely been, like, stuff taken out of it and placed on the ground near it, as if someone was looking for something.
Curious. Skywalker, come take a look at this chamber.
As Grumblock says that, Soul, you did not hear him.
Okay. Soul continues following the wind.
Yeah. Speaking of, after another kind of louder, stronger gust of the wind, you no longer hear Grumblock's footsteps nor feel the shaking in the hall around you.
After Soul notices that, yeah, he would definitely like Grumblock and like turn around and like thinking he's gonna see this gargantuan figure behind him.
Yeah, if you both look to where you last saw the other, you don't see the other.
Grumblock?
How curious. I'm sure he'll be all right. Now, let's take a look in this box.
Yeah, Grumblock, as you walk into the room and kind of check it out, you start kind of hearing things, and most of it's unfamiliar, but some of it is. You think you're hearing the voice of Rey talking to R8. You don't understand what she's saying, but the tone of voice and just the sound seems familiar. As you look, you can kind of see where dust was scattered that seemed to have belonged to the astromech rolling around. You think she might have been here.
Can I make a survival check to try and figure out how old the tracks are and where they lead?
Yeah. That'll be... You get a boost due to what I just mentioned. It'll otherwise be just 2 difficulty. As you are looking around, you're able to follow her footsteps to that container that had items taken out of it. And you're able to kind of pick out and notice as you lean in that she seemed to have sat here for a while, that there's kind of markings made from someone who likely meditated. In general, just based on how dusty these places are, it seems like her tracks would have been covered fairly quickly had they been much earlier in the day. You have a feeling that based on when Soul told you that she left, you probably learned that she probably went from here to the starship, probably straight.
Probably, the answer is probably no, but is there any way to tell what was in the box?
Based on the items strewn around the floor and what room is left in the box by the items still left in it, all of which seem to be like old, outdated, starship navigational stuff. You would guess that it probably isn't much larger than a normal, like, human-sized dinner plate.
Is everything in here like old Navi computer parts or
No
Star
parts.
stuff like
No parts. There's no electronics of any kind. It seems to be some very faded charts and some books and other information stuff that has to be very old or specifically kept off of electronic devices.
Okay, but it's all navigation based.
And most of it appears to be, yeah, but some of it isn't astronavigation, it's like specific planets, and most of it's too faded to even tell what planets they are.
Okay.
If you had to guess, this was probably all used by some kind of surveyor who was going out to planets and like marking stuff, and likely these are the leftovers of whatever they had, the stuff they deemed unimportant or that they weren't interested in keeping.
I mean, it still narrows down where she's going, because we can basically ignore settled planet. She's going somewhere that needs like a map, you know. I will continue to follow the tracks.
Well, it's a fairly small room. You're pretty much there. She went in and went out of the vault room the same way you came in just now.
Okay. And I am out of ideas. I will just turn right at every intersection I come to.
Okay. So you head back out and start kind of trying to figure out which, like, just how you went and all that, and trying to figure out where those vault keepers are.
Mm-hmm. And
okay.
every turn, I will make a scorch mark with my lightsaber.
All right. So as for Soul, you keep following the wind, right?
Yeah, after losing someone so huge, he's like sort of speedily walking like.
Yeah, so you take a couple of turns, a right turn, then a left turn kind of deal, and then you find the source of that wind, and it leads you out into like kind of a bright open tunnel that takes you into this very grassy, very open green area. It could be on Takadana, but a part of you feels like it isn't, whatever you're looking at. It's grass and plants and trees, but they don't seem like the ones you saw out in the forest nearby. There's no sign of water, but you can hear a waterfall, which also doesn't make much sense because all you saw were kind of sitting basins of water with little inlets.
Interesting. Soul's just gonna sorta... Is there any, like, worn path or, like, through the flowers or anything that where someone might have been here before him?
You can see plants and materials torn up, like aspects torn apart, like maybe someone cut their way through. But there is a path to follow, but it's not worn.
Yeah, Soul's gonna follow the worn path.
Okay, so
Like the one that's the cut through the flowers path. Sorry.
Yeah, so as you follow it, you hear the sound of a little girl running. Just kind of running, laughing. Sounds like they're probably playing in water. You still don't see them, though.
Soul head towards the sound, but he's like... He's not trying to hide because he doesn't want to come up and like scare children, so he's just like... or people around, so he's just sort of making it known that he's walking through.
So eventually you do start to make out a bit of a stream that seems like it's kind of rushing with water flow. And you see a little girl, kind of light brownish hair. You had to guess maybe 5-6 years old. She's in a little kind of almost jumpsuit-like material. Like it looks kind of like your Jedi training outfits that you wear around the temple when you're like a younger trainee, kind of those bright orange ones. But instead of being that bright orange, it's kind of this grayish blue, and it seems like it's built to handle like, you know, training, rolling around, falls, etc. But it's not like... It's fairly well fitted as well. Like it was it's probably not just one made for someone her size, but something made for her specifically.
At this point, Soul would sort of call out and just like, "Hello there, youngling."
She wouldn't react as if she heard somebody, but she would react as if she heard something, and she kind of like stops and sort of looks up and tilts a little bit, but she does not look in your direction, but definitely reacts like she heard a noise.
Soul's gonna try to get closer, but also like he's looking towards the direction that she started to look at, was looking around at, if it wasn't his.
Yeah, and you see what looks to be a couple kind of quietly talking in the direction that she's looking. The man seems very military, like he's... If you had to guess based on what he's wearing, like he's a pilot. The woman may have been military based on like her fitness and hairstyle and kind of just general demeanor, but her clothes indicate more of a sort of civilian wear, or at least not to the same extent his do. And they seem to be upset. You're not quite sure about what. That's the direction she's looking in, and he seems to kind of notice they're upset and go back to playing with the water edge.
Soul's just gonna like, you continue playing. I will go speak to your parents and see if they've seen a gigantic thing walking around. and just sort of hollers out after them.
When you turn to look back in the direction of the parents after having said that, they're gone. Kid's just playing alone.
At this point, Soul's starting to think this isn't real.
You start to hear what sounds like the girls crying.
So at this point, Soul's just gonna sort of close his eyes and clear his mind and just sort of say, like, what are you trying to show me? And then open it back up.
Roll your force dice. Oh. So, as you open them back up, you find yourself someplace completely different. You've never seen a place like this before. It seems to be a large indoor facility. Orange ventilation lights below you, indicating that nearby vents are about to go off. You hear them go off with a loud crash and whir as huge plumes of smoke, but different than kind of the smoke you've seen before, rushes up into the room. And you see what seems to be a long row of metal slabs, and as you get closer to them, you begin to realize from descriptions and things you've seen before that this appears to be a carbonization chamber. And you see the slabs seem to be people who have been frozen in these carbonized conditions. And you hear the screams and crying of the girl again, maybe a little older than before.
Can I tell who's, like, is there anywhere I can see who's operating the carbonization? Like, is there any type of controls anywhere that somebody's standing at?
Not that you can tell. You just see what seems to be endless slabs with people in them, and the people seemed like they were ready for it, though, like they stood straight and tall, likely when it happened.
Is there any, like, resembling, like, like, are they all the same, like, species? Do the clothing they're frozen in, like, do they still have it on? Or are they, like, stripped down?
They appear human, and they appear to be wearing probably some kind of body covering meant to help with the preservation process. You can't make out the details too well because of how much is lost from the carbonates.
Or any banners or anything like that around anywhere, or markings that may...
You've found everything very descriptive, like very nondescript in terms of identifiers. But you just hear more crying from the girl, and you hear another like release of the steam. The crying seems to almost turn to sobbing, as if it went from reacting to something to kind of mourning it after the fact.
Soul doesn't know if it's going to work or not, but he's just sort of focusing on the girl and just sort of repeating, like, show me the girl's fate. Like, what happened?
Do you keep your eyes open, or do you close them again?
Yeah, he closes them again. He's just like before. He's just sort of focusing on her and really focusing on, like, her fate and what happened to her.
As you open your eyes again, you are, based on how you had been walking, you're at the top footsteps of a small, raised platform. And on top you see what looks to be kind of a metallic construct, some kind of a cylinder-like device And in front of it, a woman, tall but not quite as tall as you, dressed in full black from basically neck to foot. Not quite designed like Kari's. It's definitely a different outfit. Less of a kind of leatherous look, more of a robed sort of look, and whenever the arms and hands shift, it kind of almost flows like a dress, but you can see little shines of metal like there's armor under it. And on one of her arms you can see the gauntlet that Arcos took from Aethys. And you see red lightning kind of running up the arm to the shoulder. And you've been focused on the outfit, but you notice as you look to the head that there's the same kind of light brownish hair color tied up very tightly to the back of the head, and what seems to be silver bands of almost like a tiara-like thing, or some kind of crown. And you just begin to see her kind of turn and move in your direction, the gauntlet in particular. You hear a almost anguish-sounding scream, and the arm reaches out in your direction, and you just see red lightning erupt from it at you. And just as it hits you, you're knocked backward, seemingly by a kind of gust of wind, and you are back in the catacombs below the castle on Takadana, kind of skidding across the rock for a moment and coming to the stop of a very nicely taken care of boot. Looking up, you see the face of Chance Calrissian, who just kind of smirks at you and offers a hand toward you.
Soul accept it and be like, "Ah, thank you. Things are getting very dramatic for me."
And you see him kind of lift an eyebrow, but say, "Soul?"
Did I do something to offend you? It's all Soul, like it's what he used to when hearing his name.
Yeah. He says, No. I'm Chance Calrissian. I knew your father. And he kind of offers it like as he's pulling you up by the arm, he's kind of offering to turn it into a hug if you want it.
Soul would, but he has a confused look on his face. Like,
Yeah.
he's sort of in between thinking about what just happened and like realizing what's happening now, kind of thing.
Yeah. It's a very quick hug, and as soon as he releases you from it, he says, I saw you and your friend head down here before I had a chance to stop you. It's not usually recommended for those with the Force to come down here. Gets a little...
I've noticed why.
Heard it gets a little strange.
And illuminating.
This castle is, I believe your grandfather called it a strong vergence in the Force, lies underneath this castle. These catacombs are on the edge of it.
Well, I believe that to be true, so if you don't mind, can we walk and talk as we find my friend?
And he nods.
So, how do you know my father?
We didn't know each other very well, but we both knew Allana. Kinda smiles. Besides, family's family. And he kinda smiles to you and is like, your grandfather and, Sidani's grandparents, great-grandparents, rather. And you see him kind of smile to himself. were close friends with my dad.
Well, like you said, family's family.
I met Talia and Sidani earlier, but you weren't around.
I was busy.
Yes, I gathered as much. I spotted you briefly at the Sabak game before I realized who you were.
Ah, yes, that's why your face is familiar. Sorry, the game was kind of a blur for me.
Can't imagine why.
You know, Takadana. Is all he says.
We were all young once. And he can just pat you on the back before helping you kind of look around for Grumblock. It's good to come down here with an anchor, someone who isn't as affected by it. As long as you stay close to me, you should be fine.
Yes, don't have a lot of time, so sorry to be blunt, but other than family, was there any other reason you spoke to Sid and my sister and wanted to speak to me?
Well, I'm the reason they're here. Phoenix, Safra, them, they all work for me.
So just my condolences.
He looks at you like he's trying to understand what you mean there.
Just teams never melded well together, even though we've not really been enemies. I know a lot of drama has happened with everyone else.
Well, seems things are a little better now after Rossaswai. Plus, had I realized who you were sooner, might not have kept the mystery for as long.
Fair enough. The reason you invited them here with your team?
Just so we can all start to get to know each other. They seem to want to help with the Maximus problem. Sure you've heard of it.
Yes, gangster trying to overtake and get more powerful by screwing everybody over.
One way to describe him.
I'm paraphrasing from what others have said, obviously.
Yeah. No, we set up comms and all that, so when we next hear about something Maximus is doing, you and your friends will know about it.
Sounds good. Well, I'm trying to stop something bad from happening in the galaxy, so know anything about a crown relic on Jakku? Or anyone going after it?
Jakku? That's a old junk heap.
One that a lot of scavengers have flocked to. So I'm assuming relic hunters may have as well.
Flocked is a generous word. You see Chance starts to notice the saber cuts in the wall. And you start to hear the sounds of Grumblock moving.
Grumblock?
Grumblock, you would hear Soul.
Skywalker, where did you go?
Soul just yells up, "Virgins!"
Ah, that explains things. Come to this chamber I found. I heard Ray talking to the droid here.
Yeah, Soul will definitely speed up to catch up to Grumblock after hearing that.
Yeah, Chance will follow to, stay your guys' anchor, but won't say anything. Grumblock, when you get Soul to the room, it looks the same as it did, but you no longer hear the noises or the sounds. Just a completely silent room.
She came to this room shortly before she left. I believe she took some kind of map or star chart.
I believe I've seen some of her past as well as part of the vision that the Revenant warned us about. And Soul will go on to describe like the gauntlet and the with as much detail as he can with the crown that was with it.
Yeah, you basically didn't see the like I said, it could be a tiara style thing, could be a crown. You just pretty much saw a single silver band, and that was about it. Because you never even saw the front of her, just enough at the side as she was turning to shoot you with the lightning.
How much do you know of this Revenant? Is there merit to his words?
I believe it's wise to listen to someone who's that convicted to a vision they see, whether it's misguided or not.
Visions are helpful, but they are not always true. This is the future that the Force wants you to see, not the future that will be.
So, what you saw here, is there anything specific she was after?
I will show him the box and all of the stuff that was thrown out. She took something from this container, approximately the size of one of your human plates.
Interesting.
Chance speaks up at that point, says could have been maybe a data pad or something like that. List of coordinates.
Well, if we're under the assumption that the visions we both had could be connected, perhaps she is going after the same thing Arcos is.
We should ask at the starport and see if anyone saw Miss Dameron leave.
All the ships in or and out of this place the same way. I don't know how much that's going to help you.
Perhaps she spoke to someone. At any rate, we need to go to the starport to leave as well.
Talia and everyone's getting the ship ready.
Chance nods and says, "Alright, well, follow me. I'll help get you two out of here."
Sounds good, and I promise we'll come back and have more family is family time.
He laughs.
Before we leave...
Puts an arm on your shoulder while you're walking.
Before we leave, do you know where we might find the Vault Keepers that Vitania deals with?
Vault Keepers?
The Keepers of the Knowledge.
You just see him laugh and shake his head. Sounds like you were given some bad intel.
I believe, Grumblock, we were tricked into coming down here since it's known that Force-sensitive people have things happen to them.
Nonsense. Clearly he just doesn't want to tell us where the Knowledge Keepers are. That's fine. You may keep your secrets, Chance.
He just grins and leads the two of you out.
Yeah, other than small talk, like Soul's probably not gonna ask anything else.
Yeah, he'd probably recap, including like a very short version of the Cinder stuff. He'd probably recap everything he's said to the others, so you can be up to equivalent knowledge. And speaking of the others, we'll go outside the main castle now into the port town. Around with all the smaller buildings and eateries and the like, heading down to the ship area with all the platforms sitting on the water, the walkways leading out to them. Where we find Talia, Zura, and Castum as the three of you are walking out toward where the Jade Shadow is at. As you do, you would see one of the platforms near to the Jade Shadow appears to be, you would guess, belonging to Chance, as you think you recognize the ship that Lux has flown before. Kind of silver and bronze starship sitting out on one of the platforms, and the three of you would vaguely be able to make out what looks like Lux and walking around it with Gam on the boarding ramp, probably talking.
Shall we go say our goodbyes?
Yeah, I think so. Zara, are you coming with us?
Sure.
You don't have to sound so defeated.
No, it's just, I don't know them as well as you two.
And think of it as an opportunity. And she's gonna... I guess she's gonna reach out and grab Zara by the arm and start heading that way.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you walk out the little walkway to the platform the ship sits on. The platforms are mostly stable, but there's always just that little bit of bounce when you first step on it because it is on the water. And as you get closer to the ship, Gam kind of seems to stop whatever he was talking about and wave out to y'all and kind of call out, "Hey!" You see Lux poke his head out from behind one of the engines and gives a smile toward all of you.
Hey, you two. We were just coming by to say our farewells. We're apparently leaving sooner than we anticipated.
Gam just quickly says, "Ah, well, it happens," and you see his tentacles kind of bounce back and forth, the Nautilin kind of humorful eyes sort of aglow. But while Lux seems a little disappointed and kind of starts cleaning his hands with a rag, you think he was probably just kind of looking around, scouting around the ship, making sure everything looked okay. And comes a little closer and kind of stuffs the rag into one of his pockets and says, "Real shame. I didn't think you'd be gone so soon."
Yeah, and Talia just kind of smiles idly and kind of leaves Zura and Cass to talk and steps forward a bit. It's like, I didn't either, honestly. I was hoping to get more of a chance to talk to you all again, but maybe next time. I'm sure we're going to come back at some point.
I mean, as far as Chance concerned, you're always welcome here. And you see him kind of look down. You're not quite sure why.
She'll just kind of stare at him for a second, trying to figure it out. But I think she just kind of says, well, hopefully you extend me the same courtesy.
And his head moves back up very quickly, and he says, "Oh, no, you're always welcome for me, too." And he kind of gives a half smile. You can tell it was probably more the awkwardness of he doesn't seem to know what he wants to say right now.
If I knew how much time we had before we were leaving, I'd suggest show me around a bit. But because we don't, just it's nice seeing you again, Lux, and hopefully next time we'll get a chance to say more than sorries for everything.
Yeah, he puts a hand up into his silver hair and kind of slicks it back, and it's very hard to tell a blush on blue skin, since he's a Pantoran, but you do think you can kind of still see the reddening up a little bit.
And maybe next time you won't be getting shot.
What about this time?
Oh, well, if you haven't noticed, I don't have a blaster, and I can't exactly shoot you myself.
I'd offer, but I don't want to be shot.
Yeah, I'm glad for that one. I don't need to patch you up another time. I'm sure something will happen.
He puts a hand out toward yours to kind of try to take it.
You'd let him.
He takes a step in closer to kind of and leans down a little and pulls the hand up a bit to give it a kiss.
She'll just kind of smile and squeeze his hand a bit in return.
He lets go of
Always
it
the charmer.
He lets go of it and says, well, if we go another time without me being shot, maybe I can work my way up.
Take that bet.
He gives you a little half salute and runs the formerly saluting hand through his hair as he walks back toward the engine he was working on.
I really thought you were just going to stop at he runs. But Talia will nod and return to the group.
Yeah. Gam would probably, for Zura and Castum's sake, Gam probably would have just been going on about the ship and all its various intricacies.
Just polite nodding, because Zura would not know what any of that stuff is.
Yeah, there'd be some... Whoa. Sorry, what'd you say there, Jonathan?
Cass, on the other hand, probably be like, you do realize that that's not supposed to be sticking out, right?
Yeah, if you point out any little things like that, he would be trying to fix it very quickly. Both you guys would gather that while both Gam and Lux are pilots, that neither of them are particularly mechanics. So they kind of seem to do the best they can.
Well, Cass will just be like, how about, I guess, just next time we see each other, I give you guys a hand with those.
Yeah. Gam, as he's climbing up to take a look at one of the things you pointed out. Yeah! Yeah! That sounds great. And you see him start kind of fumbling around with a connection point. Talia, you'd be back over to them by this point.
Are you correcting his work, Cass?
Not technically. More like giving advice on how to help the ship not explode.
Fair enough. I'm sure they appreciate it.
Plus, I offered my services for the next time we meet.
And there it is. But
What do you mean, there it is?
Cass, it's you. You have a very specific subset that you're very good at. And I'm proud of you for that.
Mm-hmm.
Look, I bandage people up, you bandage ships. That's just how it goes.
Fair enough.
You ready to head back?
Cass will just look to Zura and just be like, yep, I guess.
Yes, I'm eager to talk with your astromech droid.
Well, Uncle R2 is always up for that.
Oh, speaking of R2, he ended up finding something interesting earlier today.
What's that?
I figure that's where the transition will be back to the ship, and just kind of pointing at the head.
How he shanked a guy.
Oh yeah. Well, no. See, Cass is no snitch.
Respectable.
But yeah. Okay, so with that, we'll transition away now, off Takadana to the last member of the party, Sidani, as she is just arriving on the world of Hapes, of which she has now found herself to be one of two princesses, along with Vanada. And as you and Vanada and your new friend and mentor Gideon descend off the ship, you are almost immediately swarmed by palace attendants and the like. The glittering white and purple of the palace surroundings, everything spotless and clean compared to what you've just experienced on Takadana. Gideon seems much more impressed at this. Vanada is, before you're even able to get in a word, Sidani, Vanada is surrounded and practically carried away by attendants who are talking to her about every little thing. She turns toward you and just quickly gets out a see you later before she's basically dragged off.
Yeah, Sid waves. Is there any tenant or someone from the dock left after that?
Could you repeat that for me?
Are there any general attendants left after that?
No, not a single person was here for you. You
Well,
see a
no,
couple.
not that. But is there anyone left on the dock I could ask about a ship purchasing a ship upgrade left?
Oh, if you're referring to the encryption module thing, you would have already called ahead for that, and they'll work on that.
Gotcha. All right. In that case, Sid will just go behind.
Yeah, they're leading her off very quickly. Yeah, a few hangar attendants do come out to start checking out the ship. I just meant no palace people.
Yeah, I figured as much.
Yeah, just leaving you and Gideon walking alone. And Gideon, though, he seems to be, despite the welcome being entirely for Vanada, he seems to be very much more comfortable amongst this environment as the two of you kind of walk into the palace proper. You're on the world of Hapes right now, because the Queen Mother, the adopted mother of Vanada, Pasley Kaur, has, as far as to your knowledge, is currently unable to perform her full duties, and due to illness or something to that extent. And Vanada has been asked to return and to act as kind of acting nobility until she's well enough to resume her duties.
All right.
And yeah, you and Gideon are currently walking through the halls. He's noting stuff, but unlike on Takadana, he's staying silent, presuming you know everything.
Well, that's not entirely true, but I think Sid's first order of business would probably be to see how Pasley's doing. Just check up on her, and then I'll need to get change some clothes, something more fancy for Bastion, and I wanted to research more about Allana, specifically what she looked like, so I can mimic it.
Okay. What do you say to Gideon? Obviously, this is what you're thinking about doing, but
As they're walking through the halls, Sid will turn to him and, with any luck, we'll be off to Bastion by tomorrow morning. Can you see that we have everything we'll need for the trip?
yes, I can see to that immediately. I will also speak to your security staff so that I don't cause any problems.
Right, of course.
He would just nod to you, and he seems to be kind of heading. You can guess, kind of probably guessing where to go based on the layout. So you wish to see Pasley first?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, as you go to visit the Queen Mother's area of the palace, through windows you can see kind of a setting sun. It's late in the day. Sky a beautiful orange. And you can see it kind of reflecting off the water as well that sits behind the palace. And as you walk these ornate hallways, you do reach kind of the outer room to, you can only presume to be her bedroom. And you see a lot of noble people around, mostly talking and speaking to one another, varying ages, some around your age, most older, probably 40s and older, you know, their parents, people Pasley's age. And they don't seem to pay too much mind to you outside of acknowledgement. You're not quite sure what they're all doing here. They seem to be mostly concerned with each other at the moment.
Interesting. I'm looking for... Sid will look around for a doctor or someone from the medical staff that's caring for Pasley.
None that you can see outside right now.
Then Sid will find someone probably around her age and ask, what's going on?
The girl you approach has kind of long, mixed kind of blonde-brown hair. Sort of blue and purple dress. Very kind of very well done, definitely a noble woman, but she is about your age, maybe a little older than you and Venata, but only by a couple years at the most, if you had to guess. She just looks a lot more kind of mature and adjusted to the role, despite very clearly being young, and she kind of gives you a small smile, almost shyly, and says, like she seems to be almost speechless at who is addressing her.
Do you know what's going on?
Yes. We were taking turns visiting and wishing the Queen Mother well.
Do you know... do you know what... do you know where her medical staff is?
Some just visited her short while ago and then left. They're trying to give her privacy.
Ah, I see.
We were told to leave her be. But just her in there.
Right, of course. Thank you.
She just kind of shyly smiles and nods and kind of moves back. You can tell, like, she, like I said, just seems very shy.
Yeah, alright, I want to find out more about the illness that's affecting her. Just to kind of get, bearings and whatnot. So, I think what I might do is head back out into the hallway and find the nearest, I guess, physician's quarters or infirmary. I imagine one of those would have someone to talk to about what's affecting Pasley.
Okay. I mean, you can find the nearest medical area, yeah. There is one in the Queen's area of the palace, obviously. Mostly used by her staff more than her, but meant to be able to treat her in an emergency. So yeah, after a few moments you would be able to find that area, and seems pretty quiet in there. There's definitely no one else being checked up or treated for anything, and you just see a few, probably just the normal people who are maintaining tables, etc., doing busy work.
Sid will find the one who looks to be the most in charge, and will ask, how's she doing?
They recognize you right away, of course, so they don't question, well, you're questioning. This is the Queen Mother will be alright. Just exhaustion.
Just exhaustion? That's good.
Few weeks of rest and we should be back to normal.
Sid kind of nods and, thank you, that's what I wanted to know.
The medical officer in charge just kind of nods to you and she says, is there anything else?
No, not for this. Wanted to see how she was doing, check up on her. Keep me informed, will you?
Of course.
And with that, Sid will once again head back out. She'll send a, well, no, she won't. I guess we'll go for what's needed with Allana first next then.
Okay, so you're going to the library, I guess?
Would be a good place to start, yes. To the library!
Okay. Yeah, as you arrive there, you see it is fairly vacant. It looks like there's maybe one or two staff members of the palace who are on break and using it as a quiet location, but they're kind of far off in the corners, definitely not in anywhere you're going to be near. You do, however, see one other person in there. Currently, seems to be by the windows watching the sunset, but it's very noticeable with the whitish, silverish hair reflecting the sunset. You see the well-dressed, well-kept form of Ambrose Aor.
I am going to sneak up behind him. Oh dear.
Hi. 2 red and a purple stealth check.
He has been successfully pounced.
Okay. One strain for the effort, but otherwise What are you, how are you approaching him?
Going to sneak up behind him and very silently just, well, pounce him with a kiss.
Ah, okay.
Gonna be the triumph.
Yeah. Well, he gratefully accepts the kiss and returns it eagerly and kind of spins you around a little bit after you kind of sneak up and grab onto him. He takes the surprise pretty well, but is very clearly surprised. Your best guess is he was lost in thought and didn't hear you come in. And you also find with the kiss a bit of a almost high emotional energy, at least compared to how your experiences with him usually go. There's usually some energy and passion, but this is definitely a lot more so than usual. And,
all right.
If you allow it, he definitely pulls you into a kind of a full like hug and hold as part of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, surprised seeing you here.
As he pulls you away just enough to kind of look in your eyes while talking and not just be talking past each other. He says, "I'm sorry about the Queen Mother. Had I known, I would have contacted you before coming."
We just found out ourselves. The doctors say it's just exhaustion, thankfully.
He seems a little confused by that, but seems to nod and say, "Well, since you and your sister have taken a larger spotlight, perhaps she's been working too much."
Sid will kind of raise an eyebrow at the expression he made. Do you know something?
And he quickly shakes his head before tilting it down and says, "Not quite sure what I know lately."
Well, hopefully things ease up. I don't know if either me or Venata are ready for some of that responsibility, but we all must do our part, which is actually why I'm here, and there's something I could use your help with.
He kind of raises an eyebrow and says, "Well, I'd rather hope to say the same to you, but what is it you need?"
Preparing for a mission to Bastion. Wanted to find out more about my mother, make a good impression. We need to warn them about a potential threat. A rogue Imperial Knight, I believe, was the suspicion. She kind of tilts her head a little bit. What was it you wanted?
He seems a little... It looks like his face is a bit conflicted, as if he has a lot going on in his mind before he says, I came hoping for a... He kind of takes your hands into his for a moment and says, "Some time with you, clear my mind, and spend time here."
Sid smiles. Well, I have at least until morning. I have to make sure everything's all, get everything ready to go. Make sure I have know everything I need. Make sure Venata's safe and settled, all that stuff. So, yeah, you'll have a little bit of time.
And he kind of seems a little less than sure about that, given everything you just rattled off.
Well, I mean, if you're here for me, you can always come with.
I'm not exactly Imperial material.
but you have been to Imperial space and to Imperial parties before.
Party on an Axis is different than Bastion. And he stops for a moment before saying, "Isn't there anyone else who can go to them? Must it be you? Is this one Imperial Knight so urgent?"
Well, there are others. We was going to meet up with them there, but I mean, it's the it's the duty I have to do. It's important to listen to me. To kind of give him a bit of a look. Why don't you want to go to Imperial space? It could be fun. What's the difference between there and here?
And he takes one look out at the sunset and lake and then back.
That is a very valid point.
But you said duty. What about what you...
Alliances are important, and the Empire lost the only heir they had. To some of our closest allies, we should help them against threats that we know are brewing. Would expect them to do the same.
And he would move his hands back away from yours to be on your waist if you allow him to, because he still seems to be like trying to hold you close, although there's enough room between you to obviously speak face to face.
It's very much allowed.
Yeah. He says, my duties and what I want haven't been in agreement for some time. And if we do not allow ourselves to have what we want, how can we do what others will need of us? Don't we need both?
I suppose there's some truth there. It shouldn't be so looking out for others that we neglect ourselves. Can't help anyone that way. So it kind of gives him a lopsided grin. I suppose I could stay one day extra. Maybe two.
And he kind of pulls you a little close and leans his forehead in on yours and says, "Better make it two. We won't actually leave your room." And he seems to give a more affectionate hug this time, not just kind of the passionate, almost lustful of previous.
Sid returns it.
You get the feeling he doesn't just want this, but almost needs this in terms of like, seems like he needs a break from what he was talking about.
Interesting. I have no idea how to phrase the question I really want to ask. So, alright, I think Sid will put an arm around him and start to kind of lead him over to the hollow books. Well, then we better stock up on what we need to learn if we're not going to be leaving the room for a while.
Smirks and laughs and begins kind of browsing amongst the books. What are you even looking for?
I had wanted to make a good impression with the Empire. Send them a good message that we are still here to help, and I thought the best way to do that, to project that kind of authority, would be to resemble Allana.
And he kind of, you can tell he's looking for what you're talking about, but he also looks back to you like, what's wrong with you? Coming as yourself.
Nowhere near, I don't have the, I wasn't. I don't have the history to kind of back that back. I don't have the history to back that up. I'm not Venata. I'm not. I haven't been doing this for years and years. So I'm hoping to, I guess, do a bit of political shorthand, some theater work to make up for that.
You see him kind of, he's looking at the book. You can tell he's like looking at the books, but he's not really looking at them. You can tell he's thinking. It is looking like your mother the answer to others taking you seriously?
Sid kind of shrugs. I don't know what other solutions I could do for that. She'll kind of look over at him. Why, do you have ideas?
No, it's just, and he kind of hands you what looks to be kind of a short hollow book that has some images and such on Allana, and he says, no, I just, I do this all the time. Sometimes I wonder if the family name means more than the individual, or not.
Well, family names can, I guess, there's something of a brand, trying to uphold it. It's what's familiar to people.
But what if you judge? What if you're wrong? What if the person isn't anything like their brand?
Well, that all happened. I think family names shorthand, a place to get started when it comes to judgments, and once they have proven themselves or not, their own individual reputation will take it from there.
He just hands it out to you.
She'll take it and with a bit of wave of her hand, she'll flip through, quote unquote, the images of Allana to find a few she really likes, and we'll make note of them.
Okay. Yeah, you could just take the book, to be honest. Well, it's because it's your royal library.
Fair, yeah. So getting new to that, I guess. You mentioned you were doing this all the time. What was it you were looking for in here when I came in?
A good view.
From the library and not a balcony?
And he kind of just shrugs. But I'd have a better chance of seeing you.
You didn't know I was here.
Just a feeling, I guess.
Lucky feeling.
He just kind of gives a smile and a shrug.
So, how long have you been on Habes? Did you just arrive?
Yeah. You've always been here before, so when I visited, I just assumed you would be.
Usually try to be. And with everything going on, I get the feeling after Bastion, I'll be back here trying to help out where I can.
And he just kind of crosses his arms and says, are you sure Bastion is where you need to go?
To be honest, not entirely. But, I mean, Venata has everything covered here, so...
And you see him just laugh at that.
What's so funny?
Your sister's very capable.
Yeah, she is. Besides, how long could it take to fly to Bastion, ask a few questions, and fly back? Be gone, what, a couple of days at most?
Assuming you weren't held up a few days.
Sid kind of gives him a bit of a look. I'm not that easily distracted. By the way, did you see where I put that book? Oh, anyway.
He just gives Sidani a smile and kind of a soft one. He's still unsure about how he feels about everything talked about, but he eventually just says, I'll go check in with a few things. And you in your room tonight?
Yeah, tonight.
He just
Consider worthwhile.
he just nods and sort of begins to walk off.
Since I'm in the library, is there any recent news from? I don't think I would find anything about the guy specifically, but is there any recent news regarding things like instability within the Empire? Any reports about, just instability since we knew he was trying to kind of start an uprising or something like that?
Yeah, if you go to just kind of take a seat at the holo table, you'd be able to start looking through stuff, and the longer you look, the worse it gets. Since the death of the Fell Prince months ago, it seems the Empire has fallen into complete chaos. The advanced age of the Emperor and him and the Fell Prince being the only heir has meant that there is not much until he names someone, there isn't much direction, and there are so many disagreements over who he should name that a lot of what you're reading is like rumors or sort of stuff from other factions. It's not directly from the Empire, obviously. Most of the Empire stuff is trying to make things look fine. But the more reports you see, the more in general you just can tell that Arcos would just be one of several problems they have, right all the way up to the Moth Council, where you're pretty sure that there's at least a few different factions at this point. For all intents and purposes, it appears that the Empire's about to break apart, and it's just barely being held together by a unified sense of order and stability, and attempting to uphold that.
Yeah, it's not good. Sid kind of sinks into a seat and puts her hands over her face.
Yeah, you've been looking and reading at this stuff long enough that you were the only one left in the library. The others had gone back, probably back on duty. They were probably just here on their breaks. But at this point, you would hear one of the doors opening and see Gideon coming in and saying, Sadani, I've been looking everywhere for you.
Well, you found me. Have you seen some of these? It's bad.
Well, as I was saying to you, on Rossaswai, the galaxy's unity following your mother cannot last.
With all the problems, it seems almost frivolous to be focusing on one rogue element. But
Perhaps.
she kind of takes a deep breath and looks over at Gideon. This isn't actually about the rogue Imperial Knight, is it?
Elaborate on your meaning? And he's coming closer, seemingly to take a seat.
I don't know, it's just... What's the point of stopping one rogue element if another will just take the place? I'm not sure it's possible to stop the collapse of the Empire, but I get the feeling that's exactly what you want me to try to do.
And he kind of crosses his arms and leans back slightly and keeps his stoic face as glasses over his eyes, forever there. He just shakes his head and says, "When I said that you should look beyond Hapes, I meant for Hapes. The Fell Empire and the Hapes Consortium are the only governments currently in the galaxy that largely coexist with a monarchy. Individual worlds in the Alliance, perhaps, but that is not how they are governed. Your values are not all shared, but with the right leadership, working with the right people, what was once two could be one."
Sig kind of shifts a little bit in her seat. I mean, there's got to be other ways to support a family over there.
And he kind of tilts his head a little, and you can tell he means this with respect, but also is trying to make a point, and says, "Your only family over there is an aging man held through the bond of union to a Jedi.
Right.
When he passes, so too does your connection to the Empire."
And Hapes loses its alliance, at least based in blood from it. Right.
And do you think the Moffs who would inevitably control the successor would view you favorably? Or your sister?
I don't think they would start a war with Hapes, though.
For your mother's unity to collapse, war is not needed. Only a mutual agreement of parting, till civil wars and common strife do the rest.
The fragility of peace. You're not wrong. Well, I was thinking that when we go to Bastion, you maybe wait 1 or 2 days, make sure everything's settled here. The doctors say it Paisley's condition was just exhaustion. So once, for now it's settled, we can head out. And I was thinking of something like this, and show the images of Allana. Maybe do my hair like this one, and then see if I can't commission a dress like this, and well, make one hell of a splash.
That you will. As for the Queen Mother and her exhaustion, did you see her?
No, I didn't. I just talked to the... You don't think it's exhaustion?
If I were in your position, I would want to verify for myself.
Yeah, you're not the only one whose who's expressed some of that skepticism. Well, I have the information I need. Might be a good opportunity to verify. Was this something you needed from me?
No, just wanted to see how you were preparing, and it seems you were doing quite well for yourself, so you have no need of me. I think I will take appreciative leave of comfortable bed.
All right. How's Bernardo settling in? Do you know?
Security spoke of needing her to remove some sluggish rebels. Royals. Yeah. Sorry, that was not him messing up. That was me getting tongue-tied on like 3 different words at once. He meant to say nobles, and I was thinking of both royals and nobles, and thus rebels was what I got out.
No worries.
So, apologies. The correct word he would have said there was that. And then, some sluggish nobles, and he's referring to the crowd you saw there.
Alright, then I'll find you in the morning, and we'll figure out where to go from there.
He nods to that and stands up fairly cleanly and begins to make his exit. And as he's walking away, jump back to Takudana onto the bridge of the Jade Shadow. Well, more of the meeting room, I should say. There isn't much to the bridge. Where our heroes, Sans Sidani, all have rejoined up together. So Sol, Castum, Talia, Grumblock, Zura, and you don't have R2 in the room with you. You can hear him welding in the distance, working on 3PO. When you got back to the ship, you would have seen him with, like, tools in all of his little arms and looking a little Dr. Frankenstein-y. But
Soul just, like, hit the button to close the door behind him, like, as he's moving in.
yeah. So the 5 of you are there.
So who wants to start?
Our venture into the vault to gather knowledge was unsuccessful. We learned nothing of Jakku, although we did have some rather interesting visions.
Do tell.
I sat in a room and I heard Rey speak to the droid.
Is that it?
She took an object the size of a human plate.
Soul
Do you
just
know
gonna
what it was?
Soul just gonna throw in perhaps a data pad or something with navigational data.
Whatever it was this size.
I feel like we should discuss your opinion on interesting.
Matters of the Force are always interesting.
Another time. We know she left with a map then?
So, my journey into the Force, sort of piggybacking off of Grumblock, I saw Rey, or perhaps Rey, playing as a child while her parents were upset about something. And then it cut to a bunch of people volunteering to be frozen in carbonite. And then the disturbing part was I saw Rey with the gauntlet, just like Revenant said. And she had a silver band on her head that I am presuming to be either the casing for an amulet or another relic itself, but I am unclear on that. She also attacked me, with the gauntlet, which knocked me out of it.
Right.
Now that's interesting.
This silver headband is likely the artifact that Arcos seeks on Jakku.
But do we know that for sure? Do we even know where to find it once we're there?
No, but if what Rey took leads her to it, then I need to stop her, regardless of Arco's intent.
You should have
Everyone
been
we have
keeping a
spoke
closer
to.
eye on her then.
Sorry, what was that?
I was going to say, everyone we have spoken to, Jakku is a junk planet. But perhaps we should reach out to the Revenant. He seems to know more of this prophecy. Perhaps he knows of these artifacts as well.
Did you get his number? Because I surely did not.
I can never figure out how to use this comlink.
Regardless, that's all working off of speculation. Even if we go to Jakku now, we don't know when Arcos is going to show up or where. We'd be following an empty trail until we found anything.
Or would we be following the Force, since that is what showed us?
That is a risk that you would take, brother. You know my opinion. I still think that going to Bastion and arming ourselves with whatever knowledge we can about Arcos before we have to face him, as well as what resources he has or what splinter groups he's created, would be beneficial.
Custom?
I think we don't have enough information on anything here.
Soul's gonna turn to Zura. And your opinion?
Can I do either an outer rim or improved streetwise just to know anything that can narrow our search down on Jakku?
Grumblock already did one.
Alright.
If you'd like to attempt it, it would be the same outer rim roll as his.
All I learned was there was a battle at some point on the planet, so
Be 3 purple and 2 setback.
Hey,
What's the force dice coming from?
actually, you're right. I should probably make sure that's just not for navigation, but from navigator talent. Intuitive navigation. I gotta check the long text on that. From intuitive navigation, and it doesn't specify that it has to be about navigating on a planet or not. It just says astrogation or knowledge, and I can turn it to success or advantage. In this case, probably just 2 successes and a threat.
I mean, obviously, so you would know everything that Grumblock knew. Alright, so yeah, as you're kind of thinking and considering using your kind of innate knowledge and bit and the Force and kind of putting together what you were told, you are able to recall, unlike the others, what the battle was actually. It was a conflict between basically a former kind of Imperial remnant group, one of the warlord groups, and New Republic squadron that had gone after them. And they were hiding out in that area, and it got, New Republic won, and it got bombed out. To your understanding, however, the planet was actually a junk planet before that battle. It just became fresh due to it.
Interesting.
A lot of it probably predates, and if you had to guess, based on what you know, whatever was kind of established or going on there was before that battle. In terms of groups or anything like that. But you really don't know much else.
Zero will briefly share that little extra bit of information, then she'll just kind of shrug. Junk planet, Imperial planet. It's all about the same.
If it's an Imperial planet, wouldn't Bastion be a good idea then to go for more information?
Well, I didn't say it was an Imperial planet. I said it was an established planet before, it was a junk planet before the Empire was there. And it was an Imperial remnant faction that was found there by New Republic forces. Stomped, basically.
If we went to Jakku first, I mean, if an Imperial remnant was hiding out there, perhaps we can find their base of operations and then look for any clues there, but it's a big planet.
Well, I have no argument to contradict you guys other than my feelings of the Force and my gut instinct. So I will go with wherever the group wants to.
Out of interest, is Ossus on the way to any of these worlds?
It's a little out of the way. You could kind of loop around to it on the way to Bastion, but you'd be looping pretty hard. So I would say if you're talking comfortably on the way, no. But could you go to it on the way to Bastion? Yes. Jakku is in a different direction.
I cannot help but feel that if we do not go to Jakku, we will regret this decision later.
So it's 2 for Bastion, 2 for Jakku, and Zura undecided.
Kinda sounds like it.
Really leaning that way.
So I'll just kind of throw out, like, we've tried chasing information before. We were always just a step behind because of it. If we know a location that they're going to be at, shouldn't we take it? Before, every time we look for information, we're always either behind them or walking into traps.
You're not wrong. And technically, Sidani's going there. Bastion, I mean. So.
Master Dai always did say to listen to the living and cosmic force. I don't know what that means, but it sounds like you do, Soul.
I just don't want to lose another member of this group for the sake of information. I would rather act than research. We need to learn from what we did in the past.
Okay. Then I'll heed you, brother, if that's what you want to do.
While I disagree, I will definitely follow you.
I'll take full criticism if I'm wrong from everyone for the rest of my life.
I mean, did you even need to say that part, though?
You probably already have that coming for you.
I will get the coordinates ready then. Or someone will get the coordinates ready and I'll be in the cockpit.
I'll see what I can do if your astromech isn't ready.
If you
And
tell
I'll go
him,
make sure.
if you tell him, R2 will come.
I can trade places with R2. I can fix C-3PO while he's doing that.
Sad part is everyone's worried about where we should go and nobody's worried about the monster they're going to unleash as C-3PO gets rebuilt.
Luckily, that doesn't appear to be a fast project, or R2 probably would have gotten it done by now. Okay.
Yes, but now Cass is on the job.
You're missing parts, so. Alright.
I'm sure I could make a few somewhere along the line.
You're not going to get my sister's arm back from her to put on C-3PO.
It's just the hand. So no, you don't get it. It's my hand. You upgraded your toolbox better than my hand.
That was not my fault.
Well,
You can only
R2
add so many thumbs.
That was R2's astrogation check for Jakku. So
I was going to say if I could assist her, he could assist me, but either way.
I mean, I'll roll a boost.
There you go.
That's the best you two could do.
We saved 30 minutes.
Alright, so, Sol and R2 and I guess Zura will be hanging out in the cockpit in lieu of a co-pilot. We'll get the ship taken off and going toward Jakku. And with that, we will swap over to Sidani as she is back to visit the Queen Mother.
All right.
So as you arrive back to where you had seen all the nobles, you'll find it completely cleared out now. Not a single one to be found.
Also interesting. Sid will go up to the door.
Okay.
Is she let in?
You...
Or is it more informal?
Yeah, I mean, there's guards. There are guards there. They aren't reacting to you going to the door, so they aren't trying to stop you. Do you open it?
Sure. Yeah, sure. Knock on the door, and we'll go to open it.
There's no response to the knock. As you open the door, you will see a spacious and grand room fit for the queen, purple and drapery and beautiful white and gold marble and lines of fabric. But the room is very dark and dim, already closed to the approaching night sky, and just see her underneath the sheets of the bed, just kind of, she's leaned up a little bit, but it's within darkness. Make her out a bit, just the light starting to peek through the little lights outside the palace, etc. But otherwise, it would be dark in there.
Alright. Pasley, Sid will kind of bow before getting any closer. How are you feeling?
Come closer, please.
Sid does. She'll go to the side of the bed.
You see her kind of faintly leaning back, her soft blonde hair kind of loose and yet still kind of close to her face. I just saw Allana. I wondered if you would come too.
Of course. How are you feeling?
In this slide, it's like Allana is here. You just see her kind of look out toward the window. She intentionally seems to have ignored your "how are you feeling" question.
So I noticed. It's a beautiful sunset.
It was. And the stars come out.
I'm sure they'll be even more beautiful. And when you get better, we'll find a good balcony and you can show me some of the constellations you can see from here.
She kind of leans back toward you to face you and sort of pulls herself a little more into the covers and take care of Fanana.
Always. Although Sid will kind of flash a look of concern when she says that.
She kind of tilts her head down and says, I've struggled all my life with one thing after another. I couldn't have my own children, that's why he gave Fanada to me.
You raised her well. I'm sure she's more than prepared for whatever duties as quasi regent. Might throw at her.
She raised herself. I was too afraid.
Too afraid? What do you have to be afraid of?
I didn't know what to do with her. I wanted to, and I love her. Sadani, I love my daughter.
Sid will, I guess, reach out to take Ashley's hand and give a comforting squeeze.
She sort of squeezes back, but not quite. Never right for this. Hates me for it.
She doesn't hate you.
I made her into a princess.
It's not her choice, profession, but we understand why. You should have seen her when we were trying to save Osis, a real hero.
See her start tearing up a bit. It's my fault. She looks up at you for a moment.
Your fault.
You let me choose.
That doesn't make it your fault. Not by a long shot.
Couldn't take the one with the red curl and know that he could look so much like her. She's looking away from you like she can't even look at you. With what she's saying, kind of knowing what she's telling you right now.
Mm-hmm.
I took her. Took Vanada. You go with the sisters to...
You didn't do anything wrong with that choice. You gave Vanada a home unlike any other.
Up at you and full tears in her eyes, and you can tell the little bit of wetness making it a little easier to see her face, how tired her eyes look, and how even the skin on her face looks a little... Sorry.
There's no wrong to apologize for.
Squeezes your hand and seems to be crying more.
Hey, it's okay. Vanada's gonna be just fine. We'll both be back to running around like usual in a few weeks. So,
Not ready to be...
oh, sorry, could you repeat that? The mic cut out at the end. I didn't catch the whole word.
He's not ready to be queen.
That's not something we have to worry about just yet.
Leans her head back a little.
I mean, because if Vanada doesn't want to be queen, she can always choose not to be. It's not something we have to worry about for years, though.
He looks
Right.
at Sid with
Right.
very determined eyes. The very sad eyes. Weeks. Be months. She starts shaking her head. Not years.
weeks and months. This illness isn't exhaustion, is it?
Just for that to be, they said, I lied to your sister.
Wow, okay. Sid's probably looking a little shocked right now.
Squeezes your hand and you can tell like it's a lot weaker of one before she kind of pulls away. For the next year.
Could you repeat that one more time?
He said before the next year.
Gotcha. Sid just kind of leans back.
Has to know.
Again, you'll have to repeat that.
Someone has to know.
Has to know what.
She's referring to. She's saying you're the person who has to know.
Gotcha. Gotcha. I'm having a little hard time understanding some of what you're saying, so it's kind of cutting out close to the woods.
Apologies.
No worries. So just to make sure I have this right, she's saying someone has to know. Is this in reference to what she said previous?
She's saying that all she meant by that line was saying she wanted you to know that she's dying.
Gotcha.
Because she lied to Venata.
Yeah, I kind of picked that up. And
clearly lied to all the other nobles as well.
It gives her hand another comforting squeeze. And what would you have me do? What can I do?
Take care of her. Just take care of her and take care of Hapes.
I promise. They will both be protected. Whatever I can do.
You can be everything your mother was and more. Do more than she ever did.
In some regards. So I've been told.
You must live. You must love. You must hope.
Sid nods. Live, love, hope. I can do that.
She leans her head a bit to the side at this point.
Is there anything I can do for you or get you before?
He silently shakes her head.
Alright. Alright. Sleep well then. And don't worry, Venata and Hapes will be well cared for. I'll make sure of it. I'll see you in the morning. Okay?
He just...
Alright. Sid will... I know she doesn't have to do the formalities, but she will bow and take her leave. Unless there was something more.
No.
And as she closes the door behind her, she'll just kind of lean against it and run her hands down her face.
Reminder there are guards there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just probably showing some signs of exhaustion herself. Well, I figured it would be more like closer to the hall, not immediately outside the room. But
No,
yeah.
they're right by the doorway. That's the only place they are, actually. Otherwise, the room is very empty.
Well, I figured more in the hallway kind of thing, not the antechamber. But yeah, at this point, I think she would go back to her own room. I don't think Fernanda would necessarily be up, but oh man.
As you get to your room, also nice, but not quite as Queen Mother spacious. Would see Ambrose by the balcony of the room. You can tell he probably climbed up to it and didn't use the door.
Oh, that man has experience doing that. She'll go over to stand next to him on the balcony.
His attention would immediately turn. What does he see?
I don't think Sid quite has the. She can scroll the features, but after that, I don't think she necessarily would be. So she's probably looking a little half exhausted, half in shock. Maybe some disbelief, but some tears ruining the makeup around her eyes. But yeah.
Yeah, he would look a little concerned then.
Out of. You mentioned potentially being waylaid on Bastion. How. I don't know. I really don't know anymore. I think Sid will just kind of lean her head against Ambrose's shoulder.
Okay, he'll give her a bit of a hug. Isn't quite sure why.
And I don't think Sid can tell him. What do you know about what Vanna's going to be up to in the next couple of days? Any insight on what the nobles want, what issues are going on?
And he just seems so caught off guard, but is trying to roll with it. Reestablish herself amongst the nobles. There's a lot of dispute lately. There's been an increase in pirate activity, not your own, along the edges of the cluster. Been overwhelming.
I heard there were a stubborn group of nobles. Do you know anything about that?
There are concerns and doubts about and he kind of speaks quietly, the succession.
Concerns and doubts. You mean they don't think they're not as capable?
No, looking down, they're afraid it'd be given to you.
Afraid?
He's trying to smile a bit here and say, they don't think you're their type.
Why, are they more Cathound people instead of dragon? No matter what I do, it's always... Well...
He'd put his hands on your arms and say, you're my type.
Sid gives him a smile. Oh, that's one victory for me.
He'd lean in to give a kiss.
Sid will actually stop him. Not tonight. I'm sorry.
And he'll push back past kind of you're stopping him to give you a kiss on the cheek.
Yeah, Sid will allow that.
Yeah. Doesn't ask. Holds you a little bit before letting go.
It's just been a difficult night. I need to get my thoughts in order. And she'll kind of tend to the balcony and the stars.
Okay. And with that, we will cross the galaxy back to the group traveling to Jakku. So who's where on the ship? You guys are almost there. It's a fairly short flight, relatively speaking.
Just hanging in the cockpit.
Well, yeah, you need to be because you're about to jump out.
I stepped away to get something to drink.
Wherever R2 is working on C3PO.
Okay. So the two of you are trying to figure out... At this point, you'd be trying to figure out what parts you need to make him work, because there's not much you can do with what you have. That would be what you're working on right now.
Zura, I guess, will either be co-piloting if Sol feels like he really might need one, or otherwise just kind of chilling at a gunner station.
Yeah, I think Talia would either be with Sol or Grumblock.
Oh, Grumblock can't fit in the cockpit, so...
Yes, I have to sit in the cargo hold.
You
And
don't
then I'll
have
come
to
and
sit
join
in-
you in the cargo.
You can get around. You can't go into any of the personal rooms, and like you can't go into the cockpit. But I think most of the rest of the ship you can move around. It's just because the hallways are big enough, luckily. But
Yeah, where it's originally like a party thing at the huge inside, like designed for large groups of people.
yeah. But yes, you would probably spend most of your time in the cargo hold for just the sake of room and moving around.
Then Talia will join him wherever he is and probably chat him up about relics and artifacts and what knowledge he has.
Yeah, I'll have taken a corner of the cargo hold, and I'll have just put down like a yoga mat, and that'll be where I meditate.
Well, you have your special couch that Soul gave you, which is your chair.
All right. Then I guess we're ready for this. We'll say Zora's in the cockpit since R2 is Swiftcast and working on 3PO. And you are coming out of hyperspace. Soul, can you give me a check for space piloting with a difficulty of 2 red, 2 purple, and 3 setback, please?
Okay.
A little sus, but alright.
And can, of course, apply the ship handling.
Yeah, I'm gonna use my once per session remove 2 of those setbacks, because ship with other people.
Alrighty.
So those lights are automatically going to take away those threats, some of them, so...
That's good. Okay, so yeah, when you come out of hyperspace, the ship is immediately rocked as parts begin scraping and hitting the shields, and you start seeing just rocks everywhere, asteroids everywhere. You're quickly realizing why no one wanted to visit this place on Takadana, because just coming out of hyperspace is an immediate chaotic junk mess in the space in front of you. You can't even see the planet yet. And as you're hitting everything, you're going to get a air collision here. And okay. Minor ship crit.
Soul's just gonna like put on the monitor like, if no one's noticed yet, I would strap in.
Yeah, Zura's probably been having her feet kicked up on the console the whole time. It's like rapidly strapping in.
Yeah, just
Is it-
leaning
is it-
forward in the seat. Custom, you just would see R2 start to like trying to race to get toward the cockpit.
Good luck.
Go blasting out the door as a bunch of parts in the room start falling on you. Alright.
Zora, I'm gonna need you to grab the controls in case something big comes out at us.
Is it too late to change my vote?
Nope, you're gonna have to help me downgrade if giant things come at us.
Alright, so... Alright, so... Zura, do you wanna do anything as you all are basically hurtling through space in search of a planet?
Either perception to help look or co-pilot to help not crash. I don't know which is worse.
Well, Soul, you're the pilot. Which would you rather him do? Or her do?
I guess the faster we find a clear spot to get to the planet, the better.
Perception check against 1 red, 2 purple, 2 setback.
1 red, 2 purple, 2 setback. I'm gonna remove
And
the
you're
setback.
having to use ship systems, so force is not applicable here.
Okay, but like, let's see, uncanny senses applicable or no? Where it adds boost die. I think it's a force talent.
No,
No?
would not apply. If you have the commit force to increase perception, I think it's in Farsight or it's one of those. If you have that, you could use
Seek.
that. I think. Yeah, see.
Nope.
Okay. Other than that,
Uh,
yeah. So all other force things would be no. It's just your
Keen
non-force
eyes.
talent. Yeah, I said the
Alright.
non-force is fine.
Well,
Well,
I am going to re-roll that.
okay. Once per session, perception reroll.
Correct.
Gotcha.
Yeah, natural hunter. Somehow, you know what? I don't even know why I try.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Oh no. Oh boy.
So you want me to fly towards more of the debris? Gotcha.
I mean, it can only get better, right? If you get through it all.
So that'll be a 3 red, 1 purple, 2 setback for Soul. So
2 success and no threat.
okay. So the triumph is you're able to see a path. You see the planet as you're basically having to roll this yacht-like ship basically completely on its like side and turning, and like the gravity's adjusting with you, so you guys are just feeling kind of a tight like banking feeling, but you're basically having to turn the ship harder than you're usually having to turn it. But as you're doing that, you are able to look up briefly for a moment and spot where the planet is through all the wreckage. However, as soon as you accelerate the ship toward it, another piece that was just out of view comes slamming into the ship. And so that'll be a bit bigger of a collision. But you're still fine.
Somehow just barely able to scratch things.
Yeah.
Oh, we suffered one singular system strain. Awesome. I'm gonna use my manipulate.
Well, you've suffered 2 now because you've taken that twice. But
Okay. Well, I mean, still.
yeah. So far, you guys have avoided taking any actual damage due to your shields and souls flying. So.
Oh, there goes 2 of the system strain.
Okay. Well, then the ship is flying fine, except for having 2 collision crits.
And you know what? Just in case, I'm going to use the control ability and commit all of my force dice into giving us extra hull trauma.
Jade Shadow is actually pretty high on hull trauma, but
Oh, okay. Well then, never mind.
it's 34, so...
Yeah, it's actually
Oh.
you're doing the right thing. The strain is what we need work on.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah. Then I'll keep concentrating on that. Then I didn't realize it was that high.
yeah. Yeah, the system strain, on the other hand, is only 14, so... if Soul misses one of these checks, y'all could take a lot of damage real quick. So, okay. Says you're flying. You're kind of having to squeeze through and fly past some debris, but you do see the planet. Alright, Zura, what's up?
I guess the thing to do here is just try to co-pilot.
Okay. So that's just 2 difficulty check. However, you do get 1 boost due to your last roll. Oh, right, and 2... Oh, dear. And 2 setbacks. But, I think with the
Gotcha.
force dice, you should be okay. Due to the 1 light there. Yep, okay. Yep. Alright, so... That'll be... Yeah. Yeah, you're good. That's 2 success, 2 advantage, I assume.
Yeah.
Okay, then Soul, you get a boost, and it'll only be 1 red and 3 purple instead of 3 red and 1 purple. And still 2 setback though. Ooh, a little tighter on this one.
So 2 successes.
You're just managing like the ship is like moving like a boat in a hurricane. Like it's just barely you're just barely keeping it from hitting anything as you guys are spinning and moving through the debris field. You are just now starting to reach atmosphere. The planet below you, if it weren't for all the junk and garbage and such, would look just pure white. But because of all that, you see lots of grays and blacks and a few little specks of color here and there of something that was like particularly colorful. And you see like kind of almost greenish, brownish points here and there where it's probably something large that just corroded hard. That's all you can really see from the height you're at. You're just now starting to even get toward the planet. The debris continues, and even as you're getting to the atmosphere, it's not just a ring around the planet, but it's all the way down. Alright. So R2 has finally arrived and will roll up. Zura, that frees you up to only be eyes and not have to be co-piloting because R2 can take over for that.
Okay.
So, what do you want to do here, Zura?
I can't make like a visual scan at this point yet of like anything interesting that looks Imperial without relying on scanners. Starships are pretty big.
You can try to find Imperial signals, yeah.
Sure.
Okay. Make a computer's check against, let's see, that'll be...
Oh, I meant visual. I didn't mean like
Well,
a signal. I mean
you're
like
using-
seeing a ship.
Well, you're using the scanner. Well, you have to use the scanners to find it at the height you're at.
Yeah.
Find an Imperial ship. You wouldn't just know
Sure.
from seeing a speck.
Can I just like defer until we're close enough? Just so I mean, I would rather absolutely do nothing than try to use a computer.
Would you like to come get me to do it?
Oh dear.
Actually, yeah, we'll run to get Cass because this is more his wheelhouse.
Okay. So, Soul, you're in the you're now left in the cockpit with R2.
Yeah. I'll stay here and not crash.
Okay, so R2 will attempt the co-piloting check. Okay, R2 succeeded. Alright, Soul, let's see, you do not have the extra boost, but it's the same difficulty, -1 setback. So you just have 1 setback at this point. But...
So 4 purple, 1 setback.
No, 1 red, 3 purple, 1 setback.
Oh, we got 2 successes, so that was downgraded. Yes. One success, 3 advantages.
Ooh.
At this point, Soul's literally just flying with his eyes closed.
Like, you are just like squeezing through every gap you see. Like, as soon as you see something at all big enough for a ship like the Jade Shadow to fit, you are just threading
There's
that
a-
needle.
There's a fine line to be flying bad and flying extraordinary.
Okay. Zura, you would reach cast him at this point.
Just point back the way she came. Cockpit, now.
I guess that's Cass running then.
Alright.
At this point, Talia is joining Grumblock in the meditation.
They appear to be rather flustered. Perhaps they should take a moment to collect their thoughts.
Hey, you meditating could be why I'm relying on the Force so much, so keep doing it.
Alright. Okay. Another roll for R2. Wow. He gives you a boost, but that's back to 3 red and a purple. No more setbacks.
I'm using my once per session. I add 4 automatic successes to that.
Okay. Got the force dice. Okay. Well, that was a roll.
So I'm gonna use the 2 whites for advantages too, because I'm gonna try to get us as close to anything that looked Imperial as we were coming through.
Yeah. So as you just start slamming it down, yeah, you're able to start picking out like little details now. You're out of the upper atmosphere, like, and you're heading toward the cloud line, and you're realizing that the gravity of this planet is so off that there is still stuff up here at the cloud line. Like, it's not moving in the same way, like it's kind of hanging out, but there's still stuff up here. You do start to pick out some what were definitely Imperial remnant. Like there's at least 1 Imperial remnant Star Destroyer and stuff like that. You can start picking those out on the surface below and start aiming the ship toward it. If you're a fantastic roll. Okay, Castum, you would reach the cockpit at this point.
Alright.
Yeah, Soul just gonna point out, start scanning for any leftover signals of any of those Star Destroyers or wreckage.
Alright.
Okay. Make a computer's check against 1 red, 2 purple, 2 setback. A lot of interference.
Okay. Bypass security or codebreaker help?
No.
Wow. Okay.
So, Soul, Custom doesn't come up with anything yet.
Wait, does this technically count as a slice computer check?
No.
Damn it.
Alright. R2 gonna try again. Okay. Helps a little bit.
I knew I should have made a toolkit for computers.
Alright, 2 red, 2 purple. No extra boost, Soul. You're trying.
This time was all skill.
Yeah, so you're in the cloud line, but the issue is you have no idea where to even look for the ship to land. And there's still stuff like scattered so that if you slow down, you might run into something. So you're having to keep the ship going. So, okay. Custom, you can give it another shot. You have a boost this time. Difficulties are unfortunately the same, however. Unless Soul wants to be risky and try to fly down close enough for you to get a better scan. That's up to Soul.
Yes.
Okay. Then remove a setback and a purple, so it'll be one of each negative, and then you have a boost from your previous check.
All right.
So 1 red, 1 purple, 1 setback.
What? What?
Oh.
Well, there's Triumph, so...
Triumph is you pick up what appears to be a not an Imperial signal. You pick up really strongly what appears to be like an Alliance signal.
Good enough.
Is that what you're aiming for?
It's gonna have to be with all this debris. We'll figure it out when we get on the ground.
Okay. Alright.
Quick, I do it now. You see me check on the computer so I could try again.
Oh no. So you get a boost, but it's 3. It's it's 3 red, 2 purple, and a setback because you decided to be risky.
Is there anything I can do to help him?
Only if you have the remove setback talent.
For piloting space, I do not.
No,
No, I have
danger.
sense danger.
Oh,
Use
I
up
don't
any
have that
reroll.
either.
Yeah. Technically, anyone on the ship could use it, so if someone else has it and wants to apply it to this roll, they may.
Hello, somebody, maybe, please, because we're almost near the end of the session.
Not me.
What are you looking for again?
You have sense danger, don't you?
I do, yeah.
Yeah, I was saying that anyone on the ship can apply it to Soul's roll if they want.
Very well. If the Skywalker cannot succeed on his own,
I mean, you're in the ship too, so...
Yeah. Whatever works.
yeah, Grumblock senses that it was dangerous to let Soul fly.
Alright, well then it's just 3 red, 2 purple. Go for it. Massive points. Alright.
I would say I've done an amazing job with these rolls.
Weren't you short on boost? You've been rolling with 2 the whole time.
Oh yeah, the ship.
And then you got 1 from R2. But being 1 success, 1 threat. Wow. Okay.
Will that be strained towards me or the ship?
I've been applying it all ship related, so don't worry about it.
Okay.
Now, because all the advantages have been ship related too. Okay, so well, you managed to survive the getting close thing you had to do for Cass, despite him not actually succeeding. What is your, like, plan at this point? Are you just trying to land at the, like, point Cass identifies?
Yeah, I'm just as soon as he like knows where the signal's strongest, I'm just looking for any type of landing point, like to get us down.
Alright, Cass, same difficulty, but I presume you want to try to actually pinpoint the alliance signal you got.
Yeah, sure, why not?
Okay, so same difficulty, but you do get 2 boosts from your advantages.
So, 1-1-1?
Yeah.
What the fuck? What? Huh?
Hey, you don't get to complain when you succeed.
Okay, so Sol, you get an upgrade on each side, basically, from his roll there. And then R2. Okay, so R2 offsets Cass's despair there. And yeah, so now you gotta try to land. So that'll be 3 red and 3 black.
Do you want my sense danger?
Yes, please.
This is for landing.
I trust my brother implicitly, however, please don't kill us.
Well. So, Castum, what you would see is Sol going in the direction you said, and just moments before, it seems like he's gonna slam right into the side of a ship. He dips the ship down just the tiniest bit, and you make it through a gap between basically 2 halves of a Star Destroyer, and begin to land near what appears to be as I was mentioning, an alliance signal, what appears to be a kind of a small kind of alliance scout ship that's definitely seen better days, and you gotta wonder if it's even flyable. And as you begin to slow down the engines and begin to land near it, as soon as your ship touches the platform that the other ship is sitting on, everything under the Jade Shadow and under you begins to creak and move, and you can see, like, everything around you begin to shift, and the halves of the Star Destroyer above you that you flew through, even those seem to, like, creak and move inward even just a little bit.
I really don't like that.
You continue trying to land the ship.
Not unless Castum can point towards. I mean, I will unless Castum can point towards somewhere better, because we don't have a lot of choices.
Can I see somewhere better?
Well, I don't know, Castum, can you? Do you want to use the computers or perception?
Computers, by far. That is at least 1 yellow better.
Okay, and what are you looking for?
Oh, no, a spot that looks like it's not gonna cause extreme damage to us and the ship if we try to land.
Such as...
A spot that has more structural stability with, I don't know, thickness to the ship? I don't know.
Okay, just... Okay, we'll say...
I'm not a ship mechanic. Well, wait, I am, but...
Computers check against one of each again, we'll go ahead and say.
Where the hell were you earlier? Huh?
Okay, so you do a scan. You're not 100% sure, which this is the threat, but you can scan out what appears to be a powered station nearby where it's probably a settlement of some kind.
I point that out.
So, Soul.
Yeah, immediately as things are creaking, as soon as he points out, I'm like thrusting forward to that exact location.
Okay, so that would take you out of this area where this Alliance ship was hanging out and back out kind of into the crashed ships a bit.
Yeah, I would tell Castum to mark the coordinates that the signal's at, just in
Okay.
case.
R2,
I use
unfortunate.
that.
R2, thinking it was over, has to rush quickly back to... Okay, cool. And, so that'll be 1 red, 2 purple, 2 black. Oh, soul. You managed to make it out, and just as you fly out, you hear some more creaking from behind, and on the scanners, Castum, and throughout and from the viewport, you can actually see parts of the halves of the Star Destroyer from above actually begin to fall right into like the area where your ship was.
I think Cass is just gonna like place his arms on the table and just rest his head down.
Yeah. So Soul, as you're flying out and around some of the debris, you're realizing that a lot of this area is destabilized like this. Like, it looks like parts of ships and wreckage just fall constantly, and you're seeing some of it bounce off the shields, but you're able to fly to avoid any large chunks. And eventually you do see what was mentioned, kind of a, like, what looks to be a small village-like encampment with lots of power generators, and you can see, like, vehicles, clearly a lot of, like, kind of scavenging crew, sort of stuff like that. And you do see what looks to be a spot you can land the ship. And this is out, like, this isn't underneath anything, on anything, over it. It's literally, there is sand and the settlement nearby. And you do see, like, down away from, like, it's almost pure white sand. Like, if you didn't know it was sand, you'd think it'd probably be snow, almost. And you can see just a bit from the... kind of a nearby one of the thin rivers, you can see that it's currently frozen. So as you begin to land the ship, the struts of the ship like land into the sand, and kind of you feel like it's maybe not the landing area isn't really prepared for a yacht, so to speak, but the ship does successfully, like, touch down. And there isn't any creaking.
Yeah. Given how our luck's been, waiting a few minutes.
Yeah, so after a few moments, it seems like everything settles. You can, however, see out of the viewport a lot of people are very curious at what's landed and are starting to come your way. They look very, well, very roughly dressed and kind of looking.
Yep, Soul just gets on comms. Okay, we have landed. If everyone get their equipment ready, we have some onlookers staring at us. I will meet everybody at the bridge.
Grimlock's just gonna stand up, pat himself down, and say, I had faith in Skywalker. Let us meet the locals.
Or ramp, sorry. I meant ramp when I said bridge.
Yeah.
Very well, Grimlock. It was a pleasure sharing this space with you for a bit.
As you're leaving the cockpit, R2 locks the ship down and basically, like, does the equivalent of removing the keys, and then follows behind you. He's not staying on the ship.
Of the onlookers, does anyone appear to be like the leader?
You see a rather large, tall guy, kind of seems to be kind of gathering people around and kind of calling and yelling out. Seems to be rather, like, portly, but, you could tell he can also probably move, so at least some of that's muscle.
We also have a large guy.
Yes, he is
This
not
one.
he is not Grumblock big, but he is definitely bigger than most of the guys you see there. There's some women too, mostly human, few aliens. They all look like they're together, or as together as their clothes can suggest they are. Like, they all shopped at the same place kind of look. So, as you all get to the ramp and you see them begin to kind of crowd around, do you all descend from the ramp, or do you stay at the, like, top of the ramp?
Grandblock is going to step down, hold out a hand, and say, "You are the tallest and largest of these people gathered here. I trust you are the leader. I am Grumblock."
Oh, hi, Grumblock. He kind of stumbles forward. He doesn't take your hand though. Says, "Well, words like that, I assume you are the captain of this fine vessel."
Soul just peers from behind Grimlock. That would be me.
And you see him like take a full like, his jaw dislocates to gather spit, and then he just spits out a massive, like, kind of almost greenish gob on the sand below before kind of taking a few steps to the side to get a little closer toward Soul. I see. His jaw's just kind of slowly coming back into place after that. You thought he was human. You're not entirely sure now.
I knew creatures like that on my planet.
Yeah, Soul's just gonna look at that as Soul Skywalker and the rest of my crew. We've come here on a mission.
Mission? Mighty fine ship. Quite a pilot to get it down here without any scratches.
Can I make a xenology check and see if this guy is in fact human or not?
Go for it. 2 purple, 2 setback.
Cool.
He is not. To your understanding, he is very similar to a human, but that spit he just spit into the ground has some kind of corrosive acidic qualities. And he definitely is stronger than he like is like fat looking.
Good to know.
Yeah, and that Soul just says, "Yeah, there's a lot of near misses."
Yeah. Plus the people who come out here. Well, they don't know the ways.
We are not most people.
And you see him kind of eyeing up the whole crew.
Let us take the first step from strangers to friends, and tell us your name.
And you see all the others starting to laugh and howl. Jorg. You could call me Jorg. Yeah.
It's good to meet you, Jorg. After
Yes.
that... Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, you see a rather slim guy coming around Jorg's side, and he's kind of looking out at... He's kind of looking and says, "Hey, boss! That's another one of them eighth we'll make." Yeah! Yeah, there's... R2 just slowly does the side-to-side step behind Castum and Zura.
That is uncle. He is family, not property. Soul stares at him.
All droids are property. Bought and sold.
Not this one.
Well, the girl wouldn't sell the other one.
Wait, there was a girl here. It was the Astrobek, and Soul's gonna start like describing like Scorch to him.
Yeah, that's exactly why. Shut up.
Now I'm going to need to know the information of which direction that they went.
Couldn't tell you. And you start to see some of the guys behind him starting to pull out like pistols and rifles and the like. She got away.
Okay, I can see where this is going. So let's go ahead and try and de-escalate this situation first. Grumbluck's going to step forward, raise the lightsaber, and he's going to say, "I have lived some 470 years and survived pirates and Sith. I am not afraid of you. Lower your weapons before you see what my experience can do."
Way to de-escalate, Grumbluck.
Alright, make a coercion check against 1 red, 2 purple.
I like this kind of diplomacy.
Yeah.
I mean, ironically, because I have quite high willpower, this is my best social skill.
You see some of the guys that were toward the back of the group they kind of start heading off. Jorg, though, nah. Slime next to him, kinda.
Listen, clearly you need supplies. Why can't we do a trade instead of needless bloodshed?
He blinks a few times. Keep him alive! And you see all the guns start to get lifted up and into position, and everyone getting ready to. And that is where we will end today's adventure. See you all next time for another episode of Destiny of the Force.